Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update on Dryden Gold Corp. Dryden Gold is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker DRY and on the OTCQB under the ticker DRYGF. And I'm joined today with the CEO and Director of Dryden Gold, Trey Wasser. And Trey, it's great to get you back on the show. We talked back in June and did a full presentation on all kinds of regional targets at Sheridan, at Hinman, and then also at your Gold Rock camp, all part of your Dryden Gold District. And we are going to dig in today a little bit more focused on the Gold Rock camp into the Elora Gold area and the Laurentian mine area, the Pearl target. We're going to dig into the release that you put out to the marketplace on July the 24th. And so you reported some more high grade drill results here. There's some more visible gold. You've actually got a lot of drilling that's kind of building up at the lab that you'll be releasing in the near term. But when we just dig into this press release, Trey, there's some good numbers in here, but maybe put some of these holes in context for us at the Elora Gold System.
Yeah, thanks, Shad. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate being able to do the update. I guess I'd just preface this by saying, I keep telling the team, and keeping in mind, I'm the finance guy here. I raise the money. I'm not a geologist. I keep them going, but I tell them quite often, geez, I thought this was going to be easier. And it's just not. It's a complicated story here. These Archean load gold systems I'm learning. And so when we put out the press releases, there's sometimes, again, especially when you have some of the super high grade results we've had, the market yawns and can't really see the big picture. So being able to, of course, Maura's doing her videos that I encourage people to go to the website and look at her videos that follow up these drill results and really explain what's going on a lot better than I do. But it was some significant things that we found there. We've got three main target areas in the Gold Rock area here on the Elora system. Of course, the Jubilee, where we did most of the drilling last year and have had to do a lot of structural work to really figure out where this high grade is going as we go deeper in the Jubilee system. So that's ongoing, and we've had a couple of outside consultants from the Colorado School of Mines and another group, Terrain, in helping helping the team to really evaluate and figure that out. So one of the holes we had there was at the Jubilee. It was 5.36 grams gold over 5 meters. Not the super high grade, but a very interesting hole with almost 2 meters of 12.7 grams. So we put some more holes now because we really think in the Jubilee we figured out what's going on there with the folding and stuff. And of course, at Jubilee we also saw those hanging wall structures where we had the 300 grams over 3.9 meters. And now, we drilled a deep hole underneath that, all the way down at 238 meters true depth, and hit visible gold there. So that's a hole that is assays pending. And then up at Pearl, we drilled and intercepted a potential high grade shoot. Well, it's 15.3 grams over 1.5 meters or 1.45 meters. But that's a follow-up to the hole that we had at Pearl in June it was 8.8 meters of 2.26 grams, but with a core in that ran that 12 to 15 gram gold. So, and then lastly, we hit the main structure there at Pearl, which was 15.8 meters of 1.18 grams gold. Now, let me explain why this is so significant to us, because what we're seeing in this Elora system is a fairly consistent wide grade near surface 1 gram gold over 15, 16 meters. Maybe in one place we think there's as much as 25 meters connect to the two zones connect together there. This is very consistent. There's no high grade in that hole at all. It's just a little over a gram, gram and a half, all the way across the 15 meters. So, and it's near surface. It's only about 45 meters below surface there and probably starts at surface actually. And then interspersed in that will be these areas where you have the 15.3 grams over 1.5 meters. You start to add those in. Now, on this one intercept, we didn't hit any of that high grade. It was just the 1 gram gold. But we're dealing with a 1 gram kind of base there. And where we intersperse the high grade into it, that's where we start to get the 8.8 meters of 2.26. Now, again, not super high grade there, but that is definitely starting to look like, those kind of widths, an open pittable kind of target. So, something that can be a starter mine here is starting to emerge as a theme on the Elora system.
Well, Trey, let's dig into that a little bit more just to help put maybe future holes in context. I think it's really interesting to contrast the two holes you outlined at Pearl, that one was 15 grams per ton gold over 1.5 meters, and the other one is 1 grams per ton gold, a little bit more than that, over 15 meters. So you kind of have the converse of each other. You have the high grade pocket, but then you have this 1 gram plus material. When you think about a lot of open pit mines, just for people maybe not familiar with this, a lot of them are at sub 1 gram, half a gram. We even talked to companies operating in Nevada that are doing zero point 0.3 grams, 0.2 grams per ton. The same thing in Mexico. So if you have a gram plus average just as a background halo through this whole area as a bulk tonnage target, and then you have these pockets of 2 grams per ton, 8 grams per ton, 15 grams per ton, even some of those high grade 300 grams per ton. If you start putting that together into a pit, I mean, we were talking off mic, you won't really know all the areas that are high grade until you mine it because they're hard to find. They're very discrete. But maybe put that in context for people when you put out future holes, what to expect, that the bulk tonnage holes are just as important as the high grade holes because it ties together in this cohesive development scenario.
Well, you're absolutely right there, Shad. Now, let me draw one distinction for you, too, because you bring up Nevada and, of course, the big history in Nevada. The difference is when you talk about these lower grade bulk tonnage deposits in Nevada that are less than a gram. I mean, if it's oxide gold and is heap leachable, where you can just take it out, crush it a bit, and throw it on a leach pad, 1 gram gold is basically high grade. And again, as you pointed out, they can mine that down to zero point 0.3 grams per ton is gotten common at today's gold prices. Now, when you're dealing with deposits in these sulfides in pretty much all of Canada, I don't know if, there's not many there's some leach pads in, like as you're over in the Yukon and stuff, of course. But here, this ore is going to have to be milled. So you really do need a 1 gram kind of cutoff. And if you look at some of the deposits in the area there with positive PEAs and stuff like Next Gold up to the north of us, that's open pittable 1 gram plus kind of material. So keep that distinction in mind. But again, when you're talking about a gram here near surface, it is something that could be pitted. And with us, we know we're going to see these high grade shoots, and we're getting better at defining what the controls. We've gone into that before. The D1 and D3 seem to be the most, controlling for these high grade shoots. And we'll see these high grade shoots emerging throughout. It's just going to take a lot of drilling to figure out where enough of those are to get that grade up to, if you're starting to talk about 8.8 meters of 2.26 grams, I mean, that's very minor. That's pretty good grade for a open pit in a milling scenario.
Yeah, so I think it's just nice that, I mean, retail audiences in particular gravitate towards the high grade numbers, but you want that background of 1 gram plus material to make the whole project make sense. And then the high grade pockets in there raise the overall grade profile. So that's the key takeaway. Now, you've had a lot of success at the Jubilee area, the Elora-Jubilee, around that old historic mine. But there's also, in addition to the Pearl, the Laurentian mine area that you've just started getting drilling into. But there's also the areas between those. So maybe give us an idea of a lot of the drilling that's still going on and where some of the future holes may come from, Trey.
Yeah, we're doing a first pass down at Sheridan now. We've talked about Sheridan before, and we don't need to get into that we'll have some initial results of a first pass and understanding the structures down there better here coming up. But we will go back to Laurentian where we did a first pass. We hit the old mine workings there and had to pull out. And, we've since gotten all the data put together and digitized so we know where those mine workings are now. And so we actually were working this morning on the targets for Laurentian. So we will be going up there. And of course, again, at Laurentian, we did hit a lot of stack structures up there. And it ends up that once we digitized and figured out where the old mine workings were, most of the mine workings were done on these hanging wall structures. The stacks, they actually mined 4 stack structures at Laurentian, which was the biggest producing mine in the camp and produced like 20,000 tons at half an ounce. Some high grade gold there. And it was on these hanging wall structures, similar to what we're seeing down, at Jubilee, where that super high grade hit was. So, that really gives some credence to what we're seeing all along the structure here in these stack structures we've been talking about. So we'll now be able to target around those workings and see what's left and what's at depth at Laurentian. And then we'll go back down to Pearl and we'll work on the area between Pearl and Jubilee to see if we have this continuing 1 gram material all along strike there and potentially, hopefully hit some other of the high grade shoots within that. And then we'll also be testing the gap between Pearl and Laurentian and drilling some more at Pearl. But, we currently have quite a bit of drill core in the yard at the core shack being cut and in the lab. As you know, we talk about this in a minute, is we just announced a financing that will close the 12th of next month. And so any really material results would have to be held by then. So I'll say I think we're going to have some very good results come out of this later Jubilee drilling after closing. And so it's a lot of work, but it's really kind of coming together. And I still just don't think the markets appreciated that we're not just drilling narrow vein, high grade, narrow quartz veins here, like the predecessor did at Big Master. Over on Elora, we're drilling open pitable, wide structures with high grade shoots in them that are going to, in places, so that it pushing the overall grade to something that's very mineable, potentially.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting that color around it. I think that gives people better context for all of the exploration work going on along the Elora Gold System at all those targets. So in addition to going back to Laurentian and Pearl, you're going to be testing the areas between Jubilee and Pearl and Laurentian, because those areas really haven't had a lot of testing at all. So it's going to be a lot of exciting work, and you do have a lot of drill core piling up in the yard, like you say, at the assay lab, and then some other results that you'll be able to release after the financing. Let's talk quickly, Trey, about the financing. So you're going to be raising more capital here. Does that help you also accelerate some of the other regional targets like the Mud Lake as part of the Gold Rock camp, but also Sheridan and Hinman? Maybe just talk about how that cashes up the company to do even further exploration work.
Well, we've allocated the budget this year, which really started November of last year, the 25 drill program. And that was $5.8 million. And the budget in that included the regional work, the channeling at Hinman and sampling, some of the regional mapping, the regional soil till program, drilling at least a first pass and maybe 4 to 5 holes at Sheridan. And so, we're not through with that program yet, and we haven't spent all of that money. So we now just announced a $7 million financing. It's got a component of a charity flow through at 28.5 cents, flow through at 24 cents, and a bit of hard dollars at 20 cents. So the book is full on that. We'll be closing that August 12th. And most of that'll give us, and we also will be kind of expecting, or we don't know yet, that Centerra will likely top off. That would give us even more. So we're able to, I think if with a Centerra top up, we would have over $6 million of new money on top of what we've got, left in the budget for this year. And the beauty of it is, Shad, is that this will almost all go into the drill bit. And, it'll probably amount to another 20 to 25,000 meters of drilling. I think we're officially saying that we're going to drill another 15 this year, but this money will take us into next year as well. So, and most of it will go into the drill bit because, like I said, all of that regional work and the mapping and the teal program, all of that's in the current budget, and we don't really have a lot. We'll do a bit more mapping, probably, expand the channel sampling at Hinman a little bit, but most, 85% of this money is going to go into drilling. And so we'll do a lot more work at Gold Rock, and then we'll also expand, go up to Mud Lake and try and show that periodicity by doing a new target up there. And then I think people can go to the website and look at that. We've got several other projects in the Gold Rock camp that we're bringing along to get drill ready as well. So very exciting. A lot. It's big. It's big.
Yeah, it's a huge district scale package with these different regional targets. And then even within the Gold Rock camp, like you say, there's this periodicity where every so often you see the same kind of mineralization. And Mud Lake will be a good proof of concept, but there's a lot of other Mud Lake like other targets along that same trend. So even the Elora Gold System is just a small piece of it. So basically, the takeaway, Trey, is there's going to be a lot of news coming out from the company over the next few months and really all the way into next year because there's drilling is just going to continue, and you're going to now have even thousands of meters more of drilling. So I think it makes it an exciting exploration story along all the targets you have. I just wanted to do this quick update with you just to touch base on what's going on. Obviously, we'll be watching for after August 12th for whatever news you can put out. We'll get you back on for an update then, and we may get Mara on next time just to do that update to check in with her too. So I appreciate you giving us a snapshot of what's going on the exploration front. Today was more focused on the Gold Rock camp and the Elora zone, but lots of other targets in the works with the team and multiple teams helping you on the ground. So if people listening in want to follow along with all this news, definitely click on the link down in the show notes. It takes you over to the Dryden Gold website, right to their news section, where you can sign up for updates and have those hit your email inbox, or just follow along with the assays as they start getting released. Trey, keep us posted. We'll get you guys back on, and as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
All right, great. Thanks, Shad.